Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining and happy Wednesday. I'm Shauntel Lizzarazo, Senior Director of Client Experience here at Navan. While I've been at Navan for nearly 3 years, I have over 24 years of industry experience, and that has specifically been focused on the customer experience. Excited to be with you all today.
And I'm Dane Molter, and we've lost our title slide, so you can't. I have to look at my face instead of the picture. I look after our core travel technology and product teams, so covering everything from how we source our content to our support tools to Ava, which if you're a customer of ours, you're familiar with, and we'll talk about a little bit today. My teams build a lot of the things that power what Navan does, and I've been here 4 years, 4 or 5 years at this point, and it's been a really awesome journey. And we're excited to talk to you guys today about what we do in our support tooling. Tell
Thanks
over
so
to you.
much. Yeah, thanks, Dane. So we know, historically in the traditional legacy support model that they have been historically focused on really increasing number of agents in seat to help maximize efficiency and outputs, and have been focused on limited service channels, primarily just the GDS, restricting a breadth of service content and offering. At Navan, we're very deeply devoted to thinking differently. We recognize that having the best consultants is great, but in order to move at scale, we also have to back those consultants with excellent technology.
Yeah.
And we,
Sorry.
yeah,
Hey, Chantel, can I just say I want to comment one thing because I think it's super important as we kind of talk about the framing here too. The Part of the reason that we see challenges with sort of the old school model is that the it's given the way that like we've all been on the road, right? We've all been on the road this year. We've been on the road in like the last year. It feels like now more than ever, like disruption is extremely prevalent, right? Whether you're talking about like an increased volume of strikes or sort of things that are happening on the European side, things that are happening even like
shut
just
down.
yeah, exactly. Like just these sort of these disruptions where like operations technology and operation centers at whole airlines are going down, right? Because they're just reaching this point where they're old. This sort of like this is an evolving ecosystem, and and what our belief is for sure at Navan is we need to be ready for the future. We know this is going to kind of continue to get more challenging rather than easier. And we want to make sure that the way that we're supporting this is that we have the right technology and the right humans who can actually build something that is going to set us up as the needs of the travelers who are on the road are getting significantly more complicated. And
Yeah.
as the challenges of being a road warrior increase on a daily basis. Sorry,
I
Chantal, I didn't mean to cut you
no,
off,
no,
but it's
Dana,
really,
I
yeah.
think it's such a perfect segue because while there is absolutely that intense driven focus on our customer, that same technology focus is also there for our consultant and aiming to provide that same innovative technology solution to our agents as they're helping our customers through these disruptions, right? They now have the opportunity and ability to service quickly, to understand, regardless of channel that the customer comes from, what the context is of their situation, to see the full history, and to be able to then quickly capture what they need to solve for the customer. And I think as a leader in this space, the best thing we can do for our consultants is give them the best technology to get out of their way to let them service our customers in the most effective way possible. Powering these two things together, the historical knowledge, their experience and expertise with that technology only drives the most efficient, effective solutions, especially during times when it really matters the most for our customers, like in those disruptive instances. So fully agree with you. It's such a great comment, Dane.
Cool. Let's talk a little bit about the tech, maybe, shall
Yeah,
we?
let's
Okay.
do it.
All right. So we'll talk first about Ava, which is kind of the tip of the iceberg for us in terms of both way that travelers will engage our support organization, but also really highlights, I think, just the start of what AI and the technology is really doing to enrich the agents themselves, like Chantel was talking about. So Ava is our AI support agent. I'm always very careful not to use the word bot because Ava is not a bot. Ava does not have a linear approach to problem solving. There are no pre-built workflows for her. Instead, what Ava is actually a proprietary generative AI system that sits on top of another proprietary system called Navan Cognition. And Navan Cognition is you can think of Navan Cognition as a platform that orchestrates multiple AI agents. It's agentic by nature. It runs multiple tools at the same time. It can run multiple LLMs. It can run multiple, like ML models. It can do all of these things sort of concurrently in order to come up with the right thing. And Ava is just really a conversation layer that sits right on top of what Navan Cognition is doing. And so what that means is when a traveler is engaging Navan Cognition through Ava, the traveler is actually able to work with our AI to actually make changes to bookings. And we have since day one with Ava, which we've had a version of Ava out. I think we launched our very first one, I want to say in 2021, really for like public usage. This system has like it has always been allowed to make changes. It uses the same technology stack that our app does. So if your travelers are already making changes in the app today, they're looking at details about their bookings through the app today. Ava has access to all of those things. And the way we do that is we basically we architect a system around a set of tools. So if you have a flight change scenario, or you've got an airline schedule change scenario, or some IROP handling that we've built into the app, Ava has access to all those same tools and is able to run them and come up with the best possible answer and the best possible workflow. And this is how we've actually gotten her to the point where she's able to actually resolve over 50% of the inbound, questions and things that our travelers are needing to do. And unsurprisingly, the majority of the things that the travelers need to do are make changes. They need to change their trip, their hotel, their flight, whatever it is. And Ava is extremely efficient at handling those workflows. Additionally, Ava has access to our entire, deep, rich database of information that this is the same data that our agents have access to. And so Ava can also answer really easy questions. Do I have enough time for a minimum connection through Brussels? How would you make a recommendation on how to get from the airport in San Francisco to my office in Palo Alto? The same way that our agents can be consultative, Ava can do those same things. And this is how we're scaling this system. And we take all that data that comes back through in the 150,000 chats she's basically running a month, and are using that to continually enrich her. We've got a whole team that just spends obsessive amounts of time like making this a better experience for our travelers. And we think that this is really the first step in engaging support and making sure that our agents themselves have the right information.
Yeah, Dane, I would just add, and I love that you really called out that Ava is not a bot, because the experience is so seamless. Oftentimes, when I'm reading customer comments in CSATs, the CSAT is actually for Ava, and the customer has not realized that they were interacting with Ava and not one of our consultants. And so just doubling down on what you've shared here, that like this experience is very interactive and feels very intuitive, very much like you're speaking with a consultant, and gives all of that context and background similar to one of our experts helping a customer.
Yep. And in those scenarios, we can jump ahead here, but in the scenarios where Ava doesn't resolve it, right? You said 50%. That means there's 50% that Ava does not resolve, and we do bring a human involved. This is where Ava is also really critical. And it's why I say very much Ava is the tip of the iceberg. While it feels like Ava is purely a traveler facing product, actually Ava's doing a lot of work that makes our agents more efficient and more informed when you do get through to them. Ava does not exist just to, get these travelers handled and get them out of the way. Actually, what Ava's doing is when Ava can solve it, Ava wants to solve it. And if there's ever a doubt that Ava doesn't think that she can solve it, and we don't have this on any slides, but I think is super cool. And as a technical person, I will tell you is very cool. We have actually a separate AI that we call our supervisor that observes the work that Ava is doing and it will override her if she's like making decisions that are poor, or if the supervisor is extremely conservative and will tell Ava, you can't solve this problem. Let's get a consultant on the line here and to help out. Ava's there to like collect the information and actually like understand what's needing to be done, and Ava will pass off this, what we call Ava stays internally. Ava will actually pass off that full conversation context. Not only does she pass the conversation, of course, our agents are able to see all of that, but Ava will give a summary and say, here's what we're seeing is going on. Here's what I know. We'll get the rest of the data around what's happening, inside the rest of the data stores that it's got inside our RAG models for data. She'll get all of that extra context and load it for the agent. So the agent comes online, is super informed, understands what's going on, knows how to jump in, starts working these issues right away that the traveler's having, and really gets that handle time down, which is a massive benefit for any of us who are on the road all the time. The last thing you want is for your agent to keep you on hold or keep you just waiting while they're trying to figure out what's going on. Ava really facilitates a lot of that. And this is all happening again because our AI systems are running behind the scenes to make sure that we can actually give the agent the best possible set of information. It goes all the way through into this like borderless support line you see down here. We serve global clients that all speak different languages, that all, and what Ava will do is in real time, if your travelers are on the road and are struggling with, they don't want to speak in English talking to the agent, or they prefer to use a specific type of native language, they can actually just chat in that language and Ava will pick it up and do auto translation back into what the agent actually speaks, which again really helps us reduce the waiting time for a native language speaker, especially in the chat side. Can really, improve the wait times for those that are maybe on the far-flung parts of the earth. This is a really great way that Ava also can sort of enrich it. And there's a bunch of other ways we'll see as we kind of talk through this stuff today that AI sort of continues through the journey, and we really focus on efficiency for our agents so they can focus on solving those complex needs. All right. Shauntel, you want to talk about the agents?
Yeah. So it's great to have all this technology, but you also need to have the support behind that technology that helps really deliver the exceptional experience. And we're deeply focused on ensuring that we hire the best, train them to deliver the best, and then continue to improve on that with continuous learning and development. As a minimum expectation, just in the hiring process, we require at least 3 to 5 years of industry experience. And we look for expertise in at least one area, and then we train up across all of our platforms. So, we touched on this a little bit at the beginning of the call. Some of the challenges we see historically out there is that most programs or most offerings focus solely on a GDS. And as Navan is very proud of we are very proud of the depth of offerings that we have and the breadth of service and our focus and partnership specifically in NDC. Sorry, go back one more. Sorry, Caitlin. We spend 10 weeks in the training program once consultants are onboarded to ensure that they have expertise across not just the GDS, but also the NDC and 25 other programs across the board, ensuring that those consultants can deliver that experience. And I think this is where it's very critical to emphasize everything Dane has shared previously, right? How do you make sure that not only do you train up at scale, but you deliver to consultants what they need to help them get right to the source and effectively help and assist their customer as quickly as possible. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I just want to kind of double down. Go back slide again. Sorry. I just want to kind of double down on this. This, this approach that this operations team has, and I can say this sort of as an outside observer of this team, is one that is super aligned with just what we as a company kind of believe, which is that we are building a system that is for the future, right? And we understand that future is a multi-provider future. We understand that we are an agency that is establishing a strong marketplace that wants to facilitate the way that our supply partners work with your programs. And we know that you have a relationship with those supply partners, and our job is to facilitate those things. And at the end of the day, that means our approach with our operations teams in terms of training and the way that we want to get their skill set up means that we're constantly challenging the way that they need to work. Do they understand how each NDC works? Do they understand the difference between little things about the way like Qantas wants to actually run their NDC program and the way that United or Lufthansa wants to run their NDC program? Because there are nuances, there are differences. They want agents operating in one way or another. Our teams have a continuous learning cycle wherein they are learning each of those nuanced differences. And we don't do anything where we will necessarily like restrict them from accessing information or that data. Every one of our carriers that's on NDC, every agent is trained to be able to go in and actually access Spark for each one of them, or whatever the tool is that the airline wants. Or if we're selling content with our partners at Expedia, they understand how to work with Expedia or Booking.com. And to me, that's been so interesting to sort of like work with these teams and see how we're actually teaching them. And there doesn't become this crazy desk structure that I've seen at other agencies or that I've talked to other industry folks about, where yeah, I've got an NDC desk. They only work, 8 to 5 in, Central European time hours. And so if you ever have an NDC problem, you have to wait till you get to them, or else we're going to have it because I've only trained them. That's just not at all our philosophy, and it's not at all the philosophy that any of the agents have. And I think that that's what's really cool is the folks that we bring over who do even come from Amex or BCD, have
Right.
been around the block. They come in and they are the right culture fit for the company, and they are really excited to bring the expertise they've got, but build it for the future. And I think that that's one of the things. I know Chantel probably will not like, that's her team, so she's not going to give herself too much props here, but it's really impressive, and it actually makes our job as we build a lot easier because we can go and solve the customer need for the right content source, and we know that the operations team is going to be ready to support it when we're ready to bring it live. So that's super powerful to kind of have those working together.
Yeah, thank you, Dane. It's a great partnership. And to your point, right, it's not just a hire and then send everyone out into the wild and hope they be successful, but rather we're committed to that continual learning and bring our consultants back into training every single month. And it's either a web-based training or an instructor-led training based on exactly what Dane has just talked about. What is the latest? Where have we made updates and changes? What do our consultants need to know in order to be skilled up to best support as we continue to move forward in this approach to ensuring all of our consultants are equipped and enabled to support any customer at any time during their journey? So not only do we hire the best, we also help ensure that we have a service offering that meets the needs of our customers. And we currently have a configuration of 3 different options. Our core service model works very well for the vast majority of our customers, getting access to everything we've just talked about, right? Those experts in the field, all of our technology, agents, and that are skilled up and experts in supporting our customers. There is an opportunity also, though, however, we recognize not one size fits all. There is our designated service model that is specifically focused on those customers that need a little bit more familiarization with their travel program, their travelers. There may be some uniqueness. Some of our customers in this designated support model really hire new travelers and business travelers. They're very young. They've maybe never done corporate travel before. They're traveling a lot on guest invites because they're traveling to their onboarding session. And that requires a very unique and different set of skills and approach versus another customer who is very tech forward, their travelers are very self-service oriented, and their conversations into support are generally things that they couldn't solve on themselves by themselves, require a lot of expertise, consultative experience, and this designated service model fits very well for them. And then lastly, we currently also offer our dedicated service model, which allows us the opportunity to collaborate very closely with our customer on offering bespoke service, very specific niche needs, those customers that want a very high level and strong relationship and familiarity with their accounts and their customer, their culture and their travel behaviors. This model works very well for them. And as just sort of a sneak peek, we are consistently taking in the feedback from our customers and working with our customers to understand how we can continue to evolve our level of support and the offerings that we provide. And we are very close to introducing a couple new service models that will be coming in the next few months. So please stay tuned. If you're a current customer, don't hesitate to reach out to your account manager around the November timeframe to see what those offerings may be and if something may support you and your organization. So something we're not just continuing to focus on technology and our service, but also how do we support ourselves to meet our customers' needs in the best way possible.
Okay, I think I'm back up here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the tooling that we actually run behind the scenes. So our agents are a little bit different than agents that work at other agencies who may operate largely within, specifically within the GDS or within, the native systems themselves. Um, part of our philosophy I mentioned before is that we're building for the future. We're multi-provider. We understand that there's multiple sources that distribution is going to take place through. And very early on, in the early days of Navan, we built our own system that we call TravelXen. So this isn't a name you're ever going to see in any of the products. You'll barely ever see us really talking about this in any marketing materials or anything like that, because it's not a customer facing product. It's a product that we've built entirely in-house, just for our consultants and for that agent population. And this tool set is super rich and powerful because it's been built sitting right on top of that same Navan tech stack, bringing forward all of the different kinds of content that we do have available, and making sure that our agents are able to see it in the same place, work it in the same place. They don't have to do things that other agents would have to do in order to bring disparate content sources together, like create ghost PNRs and connect them through super PNR structures and the GDS and things like that. They can see everything really in one home and can take action on it. And they can do that, and you see here, right next to where they're chatting, right next to where they're taking the phone call. So they're always able to have at their fingertips the most relevant information, the most up-to-date information, and can make changes to bookings like in real time. Look at the booking in the app with the user if the user's having a problem within the app. All those things are able to come through here. And it's all enriched with the extra data in two ways, right? It's enriched with data that comes from the corporate setup, the traveler setup. What are their preferences? What's the policy that's allowed? All of that's right there at their fingertips. They're able to see everything. But it's on top of that, we bring the AI forward here as well. So when we talked about how Ava can help summarize the topic as it comes through, we also can load information from our help centers and things like that. We can pull forward some of the cheat sheet information that maybe our agents would use for even really simple things like what's the direct line phone number for Navan to American Airlines. We will just pre-populate that information right there in context for the agent as the interaction evolves. And that actually makes them super efficient, helps them really keep the travelers on the road, keeps them moving. And this is an area that we maintain a pretty significant investment in, right? This isn't, we talk about Ava, but these tools are continuing to evolve. They're getting better every day. And this is one thing where as the content needs change, we're always asking ourselves how we can make this better for our consultants, taking that feedback directly from them, working with Shauntel as we're coming up with new servicing models. Are there ways that we can enrich the agent experience to better serve that model specifically? All that's really feeding in here. And then I mentioned this before, but it's important to kind of also say, like, we will also never tell an agent that they can't go and do the things within the native systems if that's what they want to. Of course, we want them working here. We know that these are great tools for them, especially in the world of like NDC, where it can be very fragmented in terms of the NDC support. This is a great tool. It covers a lot for them. But if our agents are also really comfortable running in the GDS, we will always let them go to the GDS. And I think that's also something that's pretty unique is we really empower our support teams to give the right support in the right time. And we talk a lot about like success as CSAT and NPS, and we look at first contact resolution like any support organization would. And when we're building technology, we're always going to look at that stuff. But we really we will ask ourselves, what else can we do, not within the bounds of what we've already got, but like what else should we or could we be doing from the way that we run, the way that we educate, the way that we let the agents work these interactions, to make it better. And that's why we've always left this as like it's very open. We want to give them the best tools. And if they can ever find another tool to do it, we're going to let them go ahead and do that because we want to give the travelers the very best service that we possibly can. And that's just always going to be our mantra. I don't know, Chantel, what did I miss about the
Yeah.
tooling
Well,
itself?
I think you did amazing. And I would just add, like when I started at Navan and first was introduced to TravelXen, I thought, man, I wish I had this when I was an agent. And how cool is this solution that, like, as you'll notice on this screen, not only do I have the full context of the chat, I have the booking that we're talking about right now that I'm supporting the traveler with, but I also have access to all of the current and past bookings available. So if for some reason, now I'm chatting with Dane and he wants to talk about the trip to Hamburg that was on here that he took and something that happened, I have immediate access to that. I don't have to jump to another system. I don't have to go digging for more information. It keeps me in context and in platform, allowing me as the consultant to continue to deliver a very efficient and quick service to Dane and get him the answers that he needs. Everything I need to know is truly right here at my fingertips, including, if there had been previous conversations, not only will I see that context in Ava, but all of my peers' notes will be contained also in TravelXen. So should I need to go to the GDS and perform a function, I document that in TravelXen. So the next person that picks this up has that full context and doesn't have to go fishing in the NDC or in the GDS for any sort of comments that may have been left within the PNR.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say, because I think it's interesting, you kind of pointed it out, is like you'll note that like the user experience here for the agent is, as Chantel mentioned, like very user centric. If you kind of look at the tabs up here at the top, we have Eugene, we have Kanta, we have Luna, all like ready to kind of we're jumping between them as a user. It's interesting because we are like very much as a company, and you'll hear us talk about this a lot, very, very user centric, right? It's what's driven us from day one to build the booking tool the way that we've built it, the way that we think about how we're supporting the travelers who are on the road. It's your travelers that are making up your program. And of course, there's program bounds that we want to support there, but we're always really going, what is it that this traveler really needs? These guys are on the road all the time. We are built for the frequent traveler. And the even it boils down all the way into the way that our agents actually engage the traveler. You see that mantra carry all the way through from the booking tool all the way through into the way the agents are working these interactions, which I think is pretty cool. So,
Yeah, yeah,
all right.
really. I think that's a great segue into this like final slide, Dane, which is we are all travelers ourselves, and we recognize that travel is deeply personal, whether it's for business or for leisure. When we are traveling, it's with intention and purpose, and the same for our customers. And 25%, and I'm sure that number is actually higher, of all flights within the US were delayed 2025, right? And today we're even experiencing the US government shutdown, which we anticipate may impact travelers at some point in the not too distant future, should this shutdown be prolonged. But it's really critical that in moments like this, we have the support and the technology coupled together to deliver that seamless experience. And I just want to give a really powerful example. I know there's some comments here on the slide, but just this past weekend, we had a customer traveling back from Toronto into the New York area. They were actually at the airport waiting for their flight, and they were chatting into support to make a change to an upcoming booking for next month. At the same time, weather in the New York area caused their flight to be delayed and then ultimately canceled. Because they were on with support, support quickly was able to pivot to their current trip itinerary and actually get that customer secured on the last seat on the next available flight. And it just really, for me, emphasizes exactly what we're talking about today. Travel happens, disruptions happen. We're here to support our customers regardless of their need, but can pivot to help support in those really critical times, making sure we're getting our customers to that, cell that is going to help them win the next customer, or getting them home to their families just because the meeting ended early or because there was a disruption and we were able to get that last seat. And this is really the power that we're harnessing together to continue to focus on our customer or the user, be it our agent or that traveler to deliver that experience. So I think it looks like we had some questions.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Haley Campbell here. I am going to jump in because I've seen so many amazing questions. I was hoping to save them so we could answer them live. So thank you all for submitting questions. I know we're jumping up on time, so if we don't get to your question live, we'll make sure to answer your question and follow up. But you've got some really great questions, so I wanted to jump in and make sure they get asked. Someone asked, how will Ava and your consultants include a customer policy, especially when we move into a world where trade-offs need to be made between cost, wellness, and sustainability? And that's a really great question. I don't know if Shauntel, you want to speak to how our agents apply this, or Dane, how the technology actually navigates this?
Yeah, I'll happy to take the consultant piece, and then
Go ahead.
Dane, I'll get over to you to add anything additional. So, as you saw when we were looking within the TravelXen, there is policy piece in there that helps our customers, our consultants, support their traveler based on their individual company profiles and policies that have been set up. And when you onboard into Navan and set up your configuration and your policies, all of that will be done and applied automatically based on those configurations that you have partnered together with our account management team to set up. And then it's reinforced again. Agents have that access in TravelXen immediately with the traveler that they're speaking with to access any of those policy questions if they need to.
Yeah, and the one thing I'll sort of add is like on the Ava front and just generally around the product, like policy, the way that we build policy is going to get a little technical. I'll try not to go too technical here, but like the way policy is really built is when you're setting up your policy for your program, it goes into like what is in effect like the Navan policy engine. It stores all your rules, it stores all the way that we should be observing them, everything in the way that it actually will manifest back into the booking tool, for example, to tell you this flight's out of policy or this hotel's out of policy, which is both set up based on your rules, but is also dynamic by nature, right? Because we run dynamic policy based on what's happening in the market. All that stuff that Shauntel is talking about comes through in the TravelXen product, and really is part of the way that the consultants are going to work it. It all comes from the same spot. So the booking tool, the way the agents are seeing, Ava then can do the same thing, right? Ava can tap into that policy engine and can know that, you are a traveler in a company where red eyes are allowed, but you're also allowed to go to the next cabin up off of your standard policy. And we'll actually take that into account when helping the traveler work. And it's very similar to the same experience you'd get in the booking tool, where that will apply and the user will be able to see it. Ava's going to apply it in the same way. So for sure, policies are central to everything that we're doing, and it's all based on the way that we're putting the technology stack in place.
Awesome. All right. Maybe one more question, and then we will make sure to answer the rest of the questions in our follow-up. But this is a great question. Is Ava working preemptively, or are users required to initiate conversations via support? Meaning if there is an airline schedule change or cancellation, does she automatically contact that passenger with details and potential options?
Short answer is yes. We do work preemptively or proactively. Um, the the experience is not quite the same as like Ava shooting you a text message and saying, "Hey, Shauntel, your flight's delayed." But the way that we will work is Navan will do the outreach when we see a schedule change come through. A lot of times, as you know, most of us on this call know and have experienced, a lot of times the airline will automatically rebook you depending on the severity of the change. In the event that it's a major where they're not actually rebooking you and they want your input, Navan will basically reach out and say, "Hey, there's been a change. Either the airline's given you an alternative, here it is, or you need to reach out back to us and we'll help you get it. We'll help you get it worked." What happens when the traveler comes back into the system then is as soon as they engage Ava or even just go into the booking tool itself, they'll see that information. They can go in, they can shop for a different flight if they want to on the booking tool. They can talk to Ava and say, "Hey, I got this email from you saying I'm delayed or whatever, or I have this issue." And Ava actually she'll have the context. She'll reach it immediately if Haley comes back in. Haley will open up a chat and Ava will say, "Hey, Haley, I see that you have a schedule change happening and your flight got canceled. Do you want me to help you with that, or is this about something else?" And can immediately take that context and begin working it for her in the same way that she could do on the self-serve tool if that was something that she wanted. And then when we talk about Ava stays and we talk about how some of that workflow works, that's the same context that's going to feed right into TravelXen. So TravelXen will pop up with an alert as soon as that chat comes in. As soon as a phone call comes in from a traveler, we're saying, "Shauntel's got a flight delay. Shauntel's got a major schedule change," and say, we really give a lot of context back to that agent to make sure that they know what's going on, insofar as the traveler wants their help and doesn't do it themselves.
Awesome. Well, thank you both, and thank you everyone for joining today. I think we will wrap this here. I know we've all got busy days, so we wanted to keep this pretty timely. We will make sure to answer all of your questions in follow-up, and this recording will be available on demand. So definitely watch your emails. We'll be sharing this out. And if you have any additional questions, always feel free to reach out to your account managers if you're a current customer. And you can check out and learn more about our support model online on the Navan website. We'll make sure to include that in the follow-up as well. Thank you all, and we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.